very pleasant day in Prospect today. Dry, bright, sunny spells, temperatures up to 21 Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit. Well, my special guest on the programme this week is C.Norman with his new solo album, There and Back. But of course, we know Chris best as the lead singer of Smokey. And you can hear my interview with Chris and on many hit singles. My guest on the programme this morning was the voice, of course, of Smokey. What a pleasure it is to welcome C.Norman to the programme. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Graham. Yes.
Good. Voice is so familiar, as always. It's still there, isn't it?
Oh, well, that's
strong as ever.
So, thank you very much. I hope so. I hope it's still there. I don't think it's changed that much over the years, but I guess it has a bit, but it's similar still.
When you listen to you on, some of the big hit Smokey songs and listening to your talk now, it's kind of difficult to pinpoint if you've got an accent.
Well, I used to. I think because I've travelled so much, and I've got a northern accent, but it's some people don't quite find out where it is. But I actually used to have a very broad Bradford accent when I was first starting. If I look back on some video clips from when Smokey was first starting to be, I'm talking like that, and oh no, it's great Smokey and all that. So I don't know. I mean, maybe not quite as strong as that, but something like that. And I didn't deliberately remember actually trying to change it or anything. I think just when you're travelling around, you're living in different places, and you maybe sort of tend to change your accent a bit so people can understand you better,
I suppose, you pick up accent, you pick up dialect wherever you go in the world.
Yeah, and, I've lived in the Isle of Man now for quite a long time, and if you go into a thing and you ask for have you got a tape recorder, and they say, what, a tape recorder?
What?
Tape recorder. So I think you just change the vowel sounds to make people understand you better, I guess. And then in different parts of the world, But I always used to say when I was younger, I hate people they go and live in Australia for 5 minutes, and the next thing they're all talking Australian,
Yes,
but,
yes.
So I don't remember deliberately doing it, but it's basically a northern accent.
Yeah, absolutely. You're back with, I say you're back, you've never been away, but you're back with a new album. All new songs, 13 songs written by you. We've got there's a few co-writes on here as well.
Yeah.
There and Back is the album, and this is quite significant because it's celebrating 45 years in the music business.
I know, and it's scary.
Wow.
God, I know. It sounds ridiculous, really, but it doesn't seem like 45 years to me. It seems like 5 minutes. But yeah, it is because we started. 3 of us went to school together from Smokey, and started a group in the mid-60s, and then we went professional in 1968. So if you take it from 68, it is actually 45 years since we went professional. So it just flown by.
Have you ever had a real job then?
I did. I left school when I was 15.
You had a proper job?
And I did. I had about 11 proper jobs in 2 years. So that's how good I was. And I could never sell anything because I didn't want to do anything. I couldn't be bothered. When I was 15, I didn't want to stay on and do O-levels. And in those days, you could, GCSE.
Yeah, sure.
In those days, you could leave early. And I persuaded my mum and dad, I'm just wasting my time, I need to get out and do something. So they let me leave. And then I had like 11 jobs in 2 years and doing all kinds of different things. And I was rubbish at everything. So luckily I found the music business.
Thank goodness for music.
Yes.
And I wonder, when you were starting out, it probably was impossible to imagine that 45 years on, you'd still be doing it, you'd still be loving it, and you'd be sitting down talking to someone like me.
Impossible to imagine. Even when we were with Smoking, when we were being successful, there's a documentary film made in about 1978 after we'd been having 3 years of hits, and we thought we were the business. And somebody asked me, what do you think you're going to do as you get older and stuff? And I said, well, I'll probably go into songwriting and producing because I can't be playing guitar when I'm 50. And that's what I said when I was 28. And now here I am, and I'm way past 50, and I'm still doing it.
It's going to be one of those comments that's going to come back and haunt you time and time again.
It does, yeah.
I mentioned the new tracks on the album, There and Back. They're all written by you. As I say, a couple of co-writes on here as well. But it's interesting, when you look back at the big hits from Smokey, most of them, a lot of them, in fairness, written by, the great songwriting team of Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin.
Yeah.
At what point did you come into your own, would you say, as a songwriter?
Well, they did encourage. Mike Chapman was the guy in the studio. Nicky Chin was tended to be more into the business side of things. So Mike Chapman was the guy we worked with day to day in the studio, and he was the the musical person. And he encouraged us from the beginning. He said, we're going to make the first album. You're going to have to write your own songs, because And we said, fine. We want to do that anyway. So we were writing from the first album, and we did actually, even on the first album, I mean, me and Pete were writing together. We had a song called Oh Well, which was covered by another group. So we were writing songs then. We wrote Baby It's You, which was Race's first hit, or first single.
Yes.
So we were writing songs already by then, but the problem was... first of all, Chin and Chapman had a track record, so the record company were always going to go with it.
Of course. Yeah.
And secondly, they wrote such bloody good songs, So it was very difficult to sort of beat that. If they were coming up with some great song, and don't forget they wrote for everybody in those days. They wrote for Sweet and Mud and Susie Quattro, and and then later on, Mike Chapman went on to work with the Knack and Blondie, and wrote Simply the Best for Tina Turner. They were just such great pop hit writers, so they're very difficult to compete with. But we were writing from the beginning, but we didn't get the first single really till Mexican Girl was one that me and Pete wrote, which was a hit. But that was the first real single they let us have, I think.
I'm delighted to point out, actually, there's a couple of tracks on the new album which you've written with Pete as well.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. It's the first time for ages, because we used to write all the time. He was my songwriting partner at the time we were in Smokey, but we haven't done anything for quite a few years, and I still see him, and we're still very good friends, and I just said to him, do you fancy writing anything with this album? And he said, yeah. So we did.
This is Pete Spencer, of course, if people weren't sure. Can you remember the first time that Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin played you that song?
Yes, I do. We were in America. It was Mike Chapman. We were recording an album in Los Angeles in 1976. And we'd got pretty much all the album, and Mike said that there's this song, Live Next Door to Alice, which he'd recorded earlier with the New World, a group called New World. He didn't record it, but Mickey most did. But he'd written it like 4 years earlier. And we said, oh yeah, I remember that. But so what? Well, he said, what about us doing it? You doing it? And we went, I don't know about that, it's a bit corny, isn't it? And he went, yeah, well, we could record it like in a country and western style and put it out just in America. I think it'd be a big hit in the country market. And we went, okay, why not? So we recorded it like that, and for the country market, and then we weren't intending to put it out anywhere else until we got back to Europe, and of course the record companies in all the territories have gone, oh, that's the single. So that's what happened with that, really. It was never intended to be a single. Of course, it's the one everybody remembers.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, yeah, Living Next Door to Alice.
Exactly, yeah. They said, what was Smokey? Oh, yeah, Living Next Door. Yeah, well, we did have 16 hits as well, But,
absolutely, you did.
But that's the one, yeah.
That's the one. Let's talk about There and Back, because the album is released. Date for your diary here, Monday, 16th of September. The album is available. 13 new songs on here. Tell me about the album as a piece of work.
We just decided, I decided, it's been a while since I've done an original song album. It's been 5 years since I had an album that was just all new songs.
Sure.
So I'd been writing bits and pieces over the last couple of years, and then I just decided to go back and have a look at what I'd got. And found out that I'd got quite a few bits that I liked, so I decided to finish them off, really.
So are these songs that you've perhaps have written over the past 5 years, or maybe longer, that you've kind of had, kind of finished, not quite finished, there for you to pick up?
Yeah, a bit. Not really for 5 years, but 2 or 3 years, probably bits and things, where you put an idea and you just think, well, that's not bad, and you just put it down on your little tape recorder or your iPhone or whatever these days. I started to look back and found I like that bit and I like that bit. And then once I start to do that, it sort of inspires me to sit down and see if I can come up with anything else. And that's what I did. And then I found I'd got like 7 songs finished. And then I got my touring band and said, look, let's go and do this in the studio like we do on stage, like a band. And if anybody's got any song ideas, let me hear them. And, which was what happened. And then I ended up writing a song with each member of the band, which was great, because that gave them input into the...
Yeah, of course.
And then, as I say, I spoke to Pete, and he wrote a couple of things with me. We wrote 2 songs as well. So that was the album, you know.
And I suppose, recording as a band, that must be like taking it right back to the way it used to be done at the beginning.
Exactly that, yeah, exactly. And it's my favourite way, you know, because I've recorded in so many different eras now. And there was a time, especially in the 80s and early 90s, when everything was done, you know, a lot of things were done synthetically with drum machines and doing bits and here, and it just hasn't got the same kind of feeling, you know.
Yeah.
So the last couple of albums I've gone back to the roots, and this one with my own touring band went into the studio, and we just sat in the studio looking at each other and while we were playing, which is the best way to make music, I think, and, you know, actually responding to each other's things, and then you come up with different ideas and different input into the music.
Well, There and Back is released Monday the 16th of September. There is a single that's out already. It's Gypsy Queen. Let's listen to it, and then we'll come back and chat more with Chris Norman on the show this morning here at BBC Wiltshire. Queen from Chris Norman. That's the first single to be released from There and Back. Obviously, Chris, we've been talking about the touring band. I have to ask, you're going to be playing live and playing tracks from There and Back anytime soon?
Well, there's lots of tours planned in Europe already. I've got dates fixed for all kinds of stuff.
What about here, though? What about in the UK?
Here is more of a problem because I'm not known here, and I have to kind of, it's like what comes first, you know. I have to raise the profile, but at the same time, if I was touring, that would help to raise the profile, but I need the record to be sort of noticed a little bit, and
sure.
If that happens, then I can come and do some gigs, which is what I'd love to do.
And, you know, as well as playing tracks from There and Back, you know, you're not adverse to doing the odd Smokey song, are you?
No, we do. I mean, yeah. I of course, when I do, like, for instance, I've got like...
Because there's got to be a demand for that. There's got to be a demand from people that would want to come and see you do that live.
Of course. I mean, most of the people, I'm doing a tour next year in March of Germany. Most of the people, I do that every couple of years with
sure.
an album. Most of the people that come, it's a concert tour, so it's in concert halls and stuff, are aged between, I guess, 40 and 55. That's the kind of...
Yeah.
So, of course, a lot of those people... who follow me, they want to hear the new stuff, but they also want to hear the old stuff because it's nostalgia, and it's, you know, so I mix it. You know, I do some stuff from Smokey, I do some stuff from my solo career, which they would know, especially in Europe, over the last 20 odd years. But I do quite a lot. You know, I'll do like I do Live Next Door to Alice, and I'll Meet You at Midnight, Lay Back in the Arms of Someone, Play Rock and Roll to Me. All those songs that were hits for Smokey, I do probably about 8 of those, and then mix them up with the new stuff, and that's the show.
You've got a website, so people can follow you online these days as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the website address?
It's chris-norman.co.uk.
There you go. Keep in touch with Chris that way. And check out the album There and Back. It's released Monday the 16th of September. Great pleasure to share some memories with you on the programme this morning. Thank you for being my guest.
A very, very great pleasure for me too. Thank you.
Travel.
BBC Wiltshire.